14.4 Biomes. Biomes are a large geographic area with distinct plants and animals based on the climate and the soil in that area. The type and number of plants and animals found is also dependent on climate and soil. So, in Alberta, we have 4 different biomes we're going to look at. We have the boreal forest, the parkland, the grassland, and the mountains and the foothills. The first biome we'll take a look at is the boreal forest. There's 4 things that I want you to know beyond where the boreal forest is. We want to know about the temperature, the precipitation, the vegetation, and the animals of each of these biomes. So in the boreal forest, the temperature, they have long, cold winters, and they have long, cool days in the summer. So the season extends quite long for winter, and the days become quite long because they are so far north, but they don't warm up quite as much as maybe the south. The precipitation means how much water has fallen, whether that is rain or snow. They get more precipitation than the grasslands, so in comparison, they get more. Vegetation, what grows there? In the boreal forest, we find forests of aspen, spruce, and pine trees. So really what those are coniferous trees, ones with needles. Animals found there would be moose, lots of mosquitoes, and caribou. The boreal forest, again, was found in northern latitudes around the world. So we don't just have a boreal forest in Alberta. It does exist elsewhere. So in Canada, around the northern hemisphere, Europe, and in northern parts of Asia. What we know is that the soil will thaw completely in the spring and summer. So there's no frost in the ground year-round, like there might be way north in the poles. The summer days can get surprisingly warm, and they have cold, wet, acidic soil. They have fewer worms in the soil, and therefore decomposition is slow. So the needles that fall from trees and the dead organisms that accumulate remain on the forest floor for quite a while because it takes so long for them to be decomposed. There's a little bit more information and some good images on page 282 and 283 of your textbook about the boreal forest. The parklands. The parklands, the summers are cooler and the winters are cold. Not quite as cold as the boreal forest though. The precipitation, there's still more than the grasslands. The vegetation, what grows there. Aspen trees grow, and fescue grasses, and these are ones that spread out over fields. So a fescue grass is often included in our lawn, for instance, so it'll coat the entire area, if you will. Aspen trees are usually long and skinny, grow in little clumps, and they kind of have rustling leaves in the wind. Animals that are present in the parklands would be sparrows, red-tailed hawks, and deer. The grasslands, the summers are very warm, and the winters are still cold. We're still in Alberta. For precipitation, it's the grasslands receives the lowest amount of rain or precipitation in the whole province. Vegetation, we get mixed grasses that grow in clumps in undisturbed areas. So rather than growing as like a complete lawn or something like that, we'll just get small clumps in the dirt. Animals that live there, burrowing owls, foxes, and pronghorn, which look kind of like a deer here. A little bit smaller. The grasslands is an extension of the plains from the USA. So it doesn't just end at our border. Very few trees grow in the grasslands because of the low precipitation, the drying winds, extremely cold winters. They get spring snowstorms and summer droughts. Before it was plowed for farmland, it had lots of plants, fungi, and decomposers. So it had great soil, and that's why it became some prime farmland. Take a look at page 284, 285 of your textbook if you'd like a little bit more information on the grasslands. The mountains and foothills are the fourth biome. The temperature varies extremely within this area because of altitude or elevation. The colder climate they get a colder climate in the summer and the winter in comparison to all the other biomes. There's, again, variation in the amount of precipitation that falls due to this higher elevation. So higher elevations get more snow. The vegetation, the mountains and foothills have a very short growing season. And coniferous trees, again, those are the ones with needles, grow from the valley up the mountains to a tree line. So you can see where they would stop growing here. That would be called the tree line. Animals that live here: elk, moose, black bears. Biodiversity is the number and variety of living things in an area. So within the boreal forest, we have quite a bit of biodiversity. We have lots of different animals. We have animals living in water, animals living on land. We have different plants and bugs. There's some practice in your textbook, page 285, number 1, 2, 3, and 4.